Focus only on yourself. Good evening, everyone. Let me start by saying this: you are your greatest project. The person you are today is just a glimpse of the incredible being you're becoming. Too often, we look outward for validation, comparison, and approval. But today, I want to challenge you. I want you to commit wholeheartedly to the idea that the only person whose opinion truly matters is your own. Self-awareness is your superpower. Let me tell you something powerful, something that might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's the truth. The first step toward transformation, toward living the life that you've always dreamed of, starts with you. It starts with the simple yet profound act of becoming aware of who you are, what you want, and what you need. But so often we are so busy living in reaction to the world around us that we forget to check in with ourselves. We forget to ask ourselves, how am I feeling right now? This moment right here is all that we have. But how can we fully embrace this moment if we're not in tune with it? How can we expect to create the life we desire if we don't first take the time to understand ourselves? Self-awareness is not a one-time thing, it is a continual practice. It's the practice of becoming present, of being deeply attuned to your emotions, your thoughts, your patterns, and your inner desires. And when you start becoming aware of all that you are, you open up a world of possibilities. You open up a new lens through which to view your life. Self-awareness allows you to realize when you're going off course, when your heart is not in alignment with what you're doing. It's that voice that says, wait, this doesn't feel right. Or when something inside of you stirs and says, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it's in these moments of deep reflection, of honest self-assessment, where you find your truest self. But here's the thing, it's not always easy. Sometimes self-awareness forces you to face things you've been avoiding. It makes you confront your fears, your insecurities, your past wounds. It's not always comfortable. But in that discomfort lies the growth, the strength, the power to change. When you become aware of your own needs, you become empowered to set boundaries. When you know what you stand for, you no longer have to be swayed by the opinions and expectations of others. You begin to make choices that align with your authentic self, and that, my friends, is where true freedom begins. Self-awareness also makes you conscious of your relationships. Are they feeding your soul or draining your energy? Are they helping you grow or holding you back? It's through self-awareness that you can start making better choices for yourself, not from a place of fear or obligation, but from a place of clarity and empowerment. And this clarity, this awareness, isn't just about recognizing your weaknesses. It's about understanding your strengths too. It's about acknowledging what you've already overcome, celebrating your resilience, and realizing that you have everything you need within you to face whatever comes your way. Think about this. We are so quick to judge ourselves, to believe we aren't enough, or that we have to be more, do more, be someone else to be worthy. But the power of self-awareness is that it allows you to see that you are enough. You were born with everything you need inside of you. And once you truly understand this, once you start to trust yourself, magic begins to happen. When you cultivate self-awareness, you no longer live on autopilot. You no longer make decisions out of fear or habit. Instead, you make decisions that are aligned with your deepest values, your soul's calling. You begin to act from a place of knowing, and that knowing is the foundation for everything you want to create in this world. So I ask you today, are you willing to commit to the practice of self-awareness? Are you willing to take the time each day to check in with yourself, to honor your needs, and to listen to your inner voice? Because that inner voice, that quiet wisdom, is your superpower. When you embrace it, when you trust it, you unlock the life you were always meant to live. Self-awareness is not just a tool for personal growth, it's a pathway to a life of purpose, a life of meaning. When you truly know yourself, you begin to see the world in a whole new light. You start to notice the opportunities that were always there, waiting for you to step into them. You start to see yourself as capable, as worthy, as powerful. You begin to create the life you've always dreamed of, and you do so with the knowledge that you are enough just as you are. Set boundaries like a sacred space. Let me share something that I've learned over the years, something that has been absolutely transformative for me. You are the keeper of your own energy. And just like you wouldn't allow anyone to enter your home without respect for your space, you must guard your inner world with the same level of care. Your time, your peace, your emotional energy, these are precious, and you have the power to protect them. Setting boundaries is not just a way to say no to others, it is a declaration that you are saying yes to yourself. Boundaries are like walls of protection, not built to shut people out, but built to ensure that you are not depleted, that you are not taken for granted, that you are honoring your own needs first. It's about creating a sacred space within yourself where only what nourishes you is allowed to enter. You wouldn't invite someone into your home who isn't respecting your rules or your values, right? So why allow anyone to enter your life, be it physically, emotionally, or mentally, without respect for your sacred space? Now, I know it can feel uncomfortable at first. We live in a world that often tells us we need to say yes to everything and everyone. It feels like saying no might disappoint someone, or worse, cause them to love us less. But let me tell you this, your worth is not tied to how much you do for others. You are not defined by your ability to say yes all the time. In fact, saying no is one of the most powerful tools you have. It is an act of love for yourself, love for your peace, and love for your future. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid or unkind. It is about being clear and honest with yourself and others about what you will and will not tolerate. And yes, it will take practice. It might feel challenging, even downright scary to start. But I promise you, once you get comfortable with saying no, you'll realize that it's not just for you, it's for everyone around you. Imagine if you had a garden and you decided to let anyone come in and trample over your flowers, pull at your plants, and throw garbage all over your sacred space. What would happen to your garden? It would wither. It would lose its beauty. It would become chaotic. But when you protect your garden, water it, care for it, and set clear boundaries about who is allowed to enter, it flourishes. Your peace is the same way. When you set healthy boundaries, your energy thrives, your life becomes calmer. And most importantly, your sense of self-worth grows stronger. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to other people, they're also about saying yes to yourself. It's about carving out time for yourself to rest, to recharge, to nurture your own soul. How many of us at some point have given so much to others that we've forgotten to give to ourselves? How many of us have been stretched so thin trying to meet everyone else's needs that we feel like we've lost ourselves in the process? It's time to take your life back. It's time to create space for you to breathe, for you to just be. Setting boundaries means you prioritize your well-being. You are worthy of that space, a space where your emotions are honored, where your time is respected, and where you are free from the stress of overcommitment and exhaustion. It means you trust that by saying no when necessary, you are making room for things that truly align with your purpose, your passion, and your peace. And yes, there will be moments when others push back. People may not always understand or appreciate your boundaries, especially if they're used to you being available at their beck and call. But here's the truth, those who truly love and respect you will honor your boundaries. They will understand that when you set limits, you're not rejecting them, you're loving yourself. They will recognize that by respecting your space, you are able to show up for them in a much more authentic, vibrant, and grounded way. Setting boundaries also helps you reclaim your time. How many of us have found ourselves drained by commitments we didn't even want to make in the first place? How many times have we stretched ourselves thin trying to meet everyone else's expectations, only to feel burnt out and resentful? Boundaries allow you to take your time back. They give you the freedom to say, I'm not available for this right now, so that you can be fully present for the things that matter most. And it's not just about external boundaries either. You must also set boundaries with yourself. How many times have we let our own inner critic take over, telling us we're not enough or that we need to do more? It's time to set a boundary with that inner voice. Tell it, not today, thank you. You are enough. You do not need to earn your worth. You are worthy simply by being you. Trust your inner voice. I want you to take a deep breath with me. Just close your eyes for a moment. In the stillness, I want you to hear something. That quiet, gentle voice inside of you, the one that speaks when all the noise in the world fades away. That voice is your truth. It's the deepest part of you, the part of you that knows what's best for you, even when everything around you is telling you otherwise. We live in a world that is constantly bombarding us with messages. The world wants to tell us who we should be, what we should want, how we should look, what success should look like. We get caught up in all of that noise, and sometimes we forget to listen to the one voice that truly matters, the voice inside us that has never steered us wrong. The voice that comes from a place of love, wisdom, and intuition. But here's the truth: your inner voice is not just a whisper. It's the loudest, clearest guidance you will ever receive if only you are brave enough to listen. We all have that voice within us, but too often we ignore it, second guess it, or let fear drown it out. We think we need to have all the answers. We think we need to look to others for direction when the answers have always been inside of us. That inner voice is your compass, your true north. It knows exactly what you need, exactly what to do, and exactly who you are becoming. I've learned over the years that when I trust that inner voice, when I trust that quiet, knowing that speaks to my heart, miracles happen. When I ignore it, when I let the noise of the world drown it out, I find myself lost, confused, and spinning in circles. But when I pause, when I breathe and listen to that voice, everything falls into place. And I know I am exactly where I need to be. You might be wondering, how do I know when I'm really hearing my inner voice and not just my fears or doubts? That's the beautiful thing. Your inner voice never comes from a place of fear. It's not the voice that says, you can't do this, you're not good enough, this won't work. That's the voice of your ego, the voice of your insecurities. Your true inner voice is quiet, steady, and always comes from a place of love. It's the voice that whispers, go ahead, take the leap. It's the voice that tells you you are enough just as you are. It's the voice that pushes you to step out of your comfort zone and be your most authentic self, even when the world may not understand. When you learn to trust that inner voice, you begin to live with more courage. You start to make decisions that feel aligned with your soul. You stop chasing validation from the outside, and instead you listen to your own intuition. And let me tell you something, your intuition will never lead you astray. It is your connection to something greater, to the divine, to the wisdom of the universe. When you trust it, you open the doors to possibilities that you never imagined. But trusting your inner voice requires practice. It requires getting quiet enough to hear it. It requires tuning out the distractions, the noise of social media, the voices of others, the pressure to conform. When you make space for stillness, when you make time to check in with yourself, you start to hear it more clearly. You start to recognize that soft whisper, that quiet pull towards the truth. And when you begin to act on that voice, that's when you start living in flow. Sometimes we think we need to have everything figured out before we can trust ourselves. We believe we need all the answers, all the details, all the guarantees before we make a move. But that's not the way life works. Sometimes the act of trusting your inner voice is simply stepping forward with faith, even when you don't have the whole picture. And when you do that, when you move with that trust, the next step reveals itself, and then the next and the next. It's a journey of faith, and it is one of the most powerful things you will ever do. Healing also requires you to look inward, to take the time to understand where your wounds come from and why they hurt you so deeply. We all carry past traumas, whether from childhood, from relationships, or from the things that life has thrown at us, and it's essential to honor those experiences. It's essential to understand that your pain is real, it is valid, and it is part of what has shaped you into who you are today. But it does not define your worth. Your worth is inherent. It is not based on your scars, your struggles, or your mistakes. Your worth is constant. It has never wavered. As you begin to heal, you will find that the things that once hurt you will start to lose their power. The stories you tell yourself about your worthiness, about your failures, about your limitations will start to shift. You will no longer be bound by the wounds of your past. Instead, you will step into a future that is free, that is full of possibility, that is aligned with who you are becoming. Prioritize your growth over perfection. Let me tell you something that I've learned over the years, something that has shaped every part of my journey. Perfection is a myth. It is an illusion that we chase. And we chase it so fiercely, so relentlessly, believing that if we just get it right, just do it perfectly, we'll finally be enough. But here's the truth: you were always enough. You were never meant to be perfect, you were meant to grow. Growth is where the magic happens. Growth is the key to unlocking your potential, your joy, and your purpose. Perfection will hold you back. It will keep you stuck, frozen in fear, because you will always believe that you are not good enough, not worthy enough, not ready enough. It will tell you to wait, to delay, to second guess yourself. It will create this never-ending loop of self-doubt and frustration that keeps you from moving forward. But growth is different. Growth says you are enough exactly where you are. Growth embraces the messy, the uncertain, the imperfection of life, and it says, come as you are, take one step at a time, and keep moving forward. I know it's tempting. I've been there too. The desire to get everything perfect, to make sure every little detail is just right. I used to be the queen of it, agonizing over every decision, every word, every action, thinking that if I didn't get it exactly right, I would fail. And that fear of failure would paralyze me. It would stop me from taking the risks that could lead to growth. It would stop me from doing the very things that could help me evolve into the person I am meant to become. But I want you to hear me when I say this: there is no such thing as perfect. Perfection is a moving target that you will never, ever hit. And you don't need to. You need to focus on progress, on the small steps you take each day that lead you closer to the person you are becoming. You need to celebrate your growth, even when it's messy, even when it's not where you thought you'd be. Because that's where the magic is. That's where the beauty is. Now, I know it's hard. I know it feels like everything has to be flawless for it to be worthy of attention, for it to be valuable. But let me tell you something: the world is not looking for perfection. It's looking for real. It's looking for authenticity, for people who are willing to be vulnerable, who are willing to show up, even when they don't have it all figured out. The world doesn't need your perfect self. It needs your real, your raw, your human self. It needs your story, your wisdom, your light, and that only comes through growth, through the willingness to step out and try, even if you don't have all the answers. When you prioritize your growth over perfection, you begin to shift the narrative. You stop focusing on what's wrong, what you haven't done, what you haven't achieved. Instead, you begin to celebrate what you've learned, what you've overcome, and how far you've come. You start to embrace the lessons that failure teaches you, because failure is simply feedback. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's just a part of the process. And when you embrace it, when you learn from it, you are growing. You are evolving. I want you to remember this: growth is not about achieving some final destination. It's about the journey. It's about who you become in the process. Every mistake, every misstep, every moment of doubt is part of what shapes you into the person you are meant to be. And none of it is wasted. There is value in every single experience, even the painful ones. The setbacks, the struggles, the moments when you thought you couldn't go on, they are all laying the foundation for your growth. They are teaching you something that will help you move forward in a more powerful, more confident way. And you know what? The more you embrace growth over perfection, the more you begin to see how the little things matter. It's not about making the grand gestures or having everything fall into place perfectly. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, learning as you go, and giving yourself grace when things don't go as planned. You can't be afraid to fail, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And here's another thing I want to remind you of: your growth is personal. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter where anyone else is in their journey. You are not in competition with anyone. You are in competition with the version of yourself that didn't believe she could get this far. You are in competition with the version of you that thought she wasn't enough. And when you prioritize growth over perfection, you stop measuring yourself against others. You stop looking for external validation and you start celebrating every inch of progress you make, no matter how small. Growth also means being kind to yourself. It means forgiving yourself when you mess up, when things don't go according to plan. Perfectionism thrives on self-criticism, on the idea that you have to do it all perfectly or you'll fail. But when you prioritize growth, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You give yourself the space to try, to fail, to learn, and to get back up again. You recognize that every step you take is a step toward becoming a stronger, wiser, more beautiful version of yourself. So I want to ask you today, will you choose growth over perfection? Will you allow yourself to step into your power by embracing the process, by trusting that every moment, every experience, every challenge is leading you to exactly where you are meant to be? Because let me tell you, your growth is a beautiful thing. It's a work of art, painted in broad strokes and tiny details, each part as valuable as the other. When you prioritize that growth, you unlock your true potential, and you begin to see that you are exactly where you need to be. Embrace your uniqueness. Let me take you on a little journey. Close your eyes for a moment and think about what makes you you, what makes your soul sing, what makes your soul sing, what makes your heart beat a little faster. Think about the qualities that set you apart, the things that make you different from everyone else. Do you know what I've learned on my own journey? That your uniqueness, all the things that make you who you are, is your greatest gift. So many of us, especially early in life, are taught that we need to fit in. We are told to conform, to follow the crowd, to be like everyone else. There's this constant pressure to look the same, speak the same, act the same, to blend in and make ourselves small so that we don't stand out too much. But here's the truth. I want you to understand your uniqueness is your power. It is what sets you apart in a world full of sameness. It is what the world needs. The world doesn't need another copy of what already exists. It needs you exactly as you are. Your quirks, your imperfections, your way of thinking, your experiences, your heart, all of it is what makes you extraordinary. We spend so much of our time comparing ourselves to others, don't we? We look at other people's lives, their successes, their beauty, their accomplishments, and we start to believe that we're somehow less than. We start to believe that who we are, our journey, our story, our way of being isn't enough. But let me tell you this, you are not meant to be like anyone else. You were never meant to walk someone else's path or wear someone else's shoes. You are meant to walk your own path in your own way, and that is where the magic happens. Your uniqueness is what the world is waiting for. It's what makes you stand out, what makes people take notice, and what leaves an impact. If you try to shrink yourself, to hide the very things that make you different, you are robbing the world of the beauty that only you can offer. There's a saying that I love: you are the answer to someone's prayer. You are here with a purpose, with a gift that only you can give. And the only way you can truly step into that purpose is by embracing your uniqueness. You see, the more you embrace who you truly are with all of your flaws, your quirks, your strengths, and your vulnerabilities, the more you step into your power. Because when you accept yourself, when you stand in your truth, you stop seeking validation from the outside world. You stop worrying about whether others approve of you, whether you measure up to their standards, because you know deep in your soul that you are enough, just as you are. And that is where your true strength lies. The beauty of embracing your uniqueness is that it frees you. It frees you from the need to compare, the need to compete, the need to compete, the need to be someone else. It allows you to walk in your own light, to trust in your own journey, to believe that who you are is enough. You do not have to be like everyone else. In fact, the more you allow yourself to be exactly who you are with all your imperfections, your rawness, your authenticity, the more you will attract what is truly meant for you. Think about it. When you are authentic, when you embrace your quirks and your weirdness, you create space for others to do the same. You give others permission to step into their own unique power, to stop hiding behind the masks that society tells them to wear. Your uniqueness becomes a beacon for others to shine, and in doing so, you create a ripple effect of love, acceptance, and authenticity. But I know it's not always easy. There are moments when the world can make you feel like you should be different, like you should be more like this or less like that. We are bombarded with images of perfection, with the idea that we need to look a certain way, speak a certain way, be a certain way. And it's easy to feel like we don't measure up, like we're somehow flawed, because we don't fit into these narrow molds. But the truth is, perfection is a lie. Perfection is not about fitting into a box. It's about being authentic. It's about embracing the very things that make you who you are without apology, without shame. When you embrace your uniqueness, you start to see your value in a different way. You begin to realize that your journey, your perspective, your life experiences, they are worth celebrating. The challenges you've faced, the obstacles you've overcome, the lessons you've learned along the way, they have all shaped you into the person you are today. And that person is extraordinary. Your life, your story is unique. It's a masterpiece painted with all the colors of your experiences, your dreams, your pain, your triumphs, and that is something the world needs to see. When I look back on my own journey, I realize that the moments of greatest joy and fulfillment came when I embraced who I truly was, the messy, imperfect, vulnerable, real version of me. It wasn't when I tried to be someone I wasn't, or when I tried to follow a path that wasn't mine. It was when I stood fully in my own truth, when I dared to be authentic in a world that often tells us to hide our true selves. That's when the magic happened. That's when the doors opened, the right people showed up, the opportunities aligned. And I'm here to tell you that the same is true for you. When you stop pretending to be someone you're not, when you stop shrinking yourself to fit into the mold that the world wants to put you in, you unlock your true potential. Your uniqueness is your strength. It's your gift. It's what sets you apart. And it's what the world needs. So today I invite you to embrace yourself, all of you, your quirks, your flaws, your dreams, your passions. Embrace your unique way of seeing the world, your unique way of expressing yourself, your unique journey. Don't try to fit into someone else's version of success or happiness. Your success is defined by your own standards, and your happiness is found in honoring who you truly are. Remember this, there is no one else in the world like you. And that, my dear friend, is the greatest gift of all. When you fully embrace your uniqueness, you step into the fullness of your power. You stop looking to others for validation, and you start creating your own path, shining your own light. And in doing so, you make the world a brighter, richer, and more beautiful place. Be kind to yourself always. I want you to walk out of here today knowing that you are worthy of all the love, respect, and care you can give yourself. You don't need to wait for others to validate you, to confirm your worth. Your worth is inherent. It's in your soul. It's in your very being. And when you truly see that, when you truly believe it, your life will begin to shift in ways you never imagined. So be kind to yourself always. Know that you are enough just as you are. Don't chase perfection. Embrace your imperfections because they are a part of your beauty. Prioritize your growth. Trust your inner voice. Heal your wounds. Set boundaries. And above all, choose yourself every single day. Remember this, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. So go ahead. Focus on yourself. Love yourself deeply, fiercely, unapologetically. Because when you do, you will be the light that others need, the inspiration that others crave, and the love that the world deserves.